You know that popular saying that's been around since the beginning of time, there are no shortcuts in life? I disagree. When you have been in business as long as I have and have made a lot of money, lost a lot of money, made it all back again, and then some, I'm going to tell you something right here. And I've devoted an entire episode to it for you today. There are some shortcuts, but there's a catch. If you're tired of hearing the same old basic mindset and motivational fluff talk, you've come to the right show. Welcome to Project Me with Tiffany Carter, the podcast, where we dish on everything from managing that crazy brain of yours to manifesting abundance to my straightforward, actionable steps that will make you major money online. Now, I'm not your typical multimillionaire entrepreneur. It takes a small village to keep my anxiety and depression in check. I'm inherently disorganized with an intense obsession with office supplies. Your girl here is a digital marketing content expert who's generated over $200 million in sales. I promise by tuning in twice a week, you will get a much needed refreshing dose of truth, clarity, and cash making advice. Now let's get to it. What up, my people, my posse, my fellow crazies? This is your host, Tiffany Carter, and you are listening to the show that is going to help you grow your business, your bank account, that big, beautiful brain of yours, your abundance, your relationships, and everything in between. We are on day 2 of 3 Days to Make Bank live, and this is my world famous free live training that I only run once a year. Now, likelihood of all the spots being gone for this is incredibly high, but just in case there's a few left and we have some stragglers that are rolling in and you want to take your shot, go to the page projectmewithtiffany.com/make bank. I've also put it in the show notes. You can swipe up. It's in the description on YouTube. It's at the top of my bios on Instagram and TikTok at Project Me with Tiffany. And go in and register. It will tell you if it is at capacity and you can't get in. The only reason I'm saying you should try to get in is because we are offering 48 hours to listen to the replays and then they disappear forever. So you can still catch up by watching day 1. You just got to do a little binging. And maybe you've been taking a social media break. Maybe you have been buried in a mountain of personal drama and you are just hearing this and you're not on my email list, which that's how you find out, by the way, all the goods, all my personal stories. This is how you get exclusive manifestation tips. You get a weekly affirmation by me. These are not written by AI. This is Tiffany Carter. And to make sure you don't miss anything ever again, I would make sure you're on that secret posse weekly digest. That is also in the show notes and the description. But priority is make bank. And if you are wanting to bring in more money, if you're wanting to be able to make money working from anywhere, get control back of your time, get control back of your finances, and not put it in the hands of just one individual or one company or one type of revenue stream in your business, this is your move. Period. End of story. So I would say I have notes here. So we know we're getting serious when Tiff has notes. I have 4 things that are some solid shortcuts. And I have some warnings that I wish someone warned me about early on. It would have saved me years of time and hundreds, even millions of dollars if I had someone say it to me bluntly, someone who I trusted and respected and who shot it to me straight. When someone gives me a lot of word salad, even if their messaging is accurate, and even if they're giving me something valuable, I can't always hear it because we're so easily overwhelmed. We're inundated with information. And that's why I try to do my best on here to just cut out the fluff and serve it straight up TIFF style. And this is what I do inside my signature program, Selling with Soul. That is opening to the public on Monday, by the way. So I'm giving you fair warning. If you are in Make Bank and you're one of my Make Bankers, you get early dibs. And I only run that once a year. So you would have to wait till 2025 for that to happen again. So don't say you've not been warned. Let's get into this whole shortcut thing. How many platitudes, how many of those cheesy signs, how many quotes have you seen all around? There's no shortcuts in life. If you anything that is worth having doesn't have a shortcut, I call bullshit on it. You want to learn from someone who is a type C, type chill person who's, let's be honest about it, on the lazy side, who is rich as fuck and who has a great life and lots of time freedom and money freedom. Because you want to know why? When you're someone who is not available for doing unnecessary hard work anymore, and you don't get off on being busy or bragging about being busy or have a old story running that you're living out in reality of being exhausted all of the time. That used to be me. Okay, that was Tiffany 1.0. This Tiffany, I want as much free time as possible to do what I want. My favorite thing is to luxuriate. My second favorite thing is to pediddle, as my grandma called it. Pediddling is basically you're really not doing much of anything, but you think you are, like cleaning the countertops of your kitchen, but they're already really clean. Moving some piles around, zhuzhing some pillows, spraying some like aromatic room spray, buying unnecessary things on Amazon, maybe reading an article here or there, staring out and watching the waves. I really enjoy pediddling. It is really gratifying to me. I am never bored. I don't know if it's only child syndrome. I'm blown away when people tell me they're bored. If someone is bored, and if you are listening or watching here on ProjectME TV on YouTube, first of all, subscribe to the YouTube. You need to do this because just experience what it's like to watch these episodes, watch these interviews, and be commenting in real time. I've noticed a lot of people are really, truly enjoying it, especially my neurodivergent peeps. And I read and reply to as many as the comments as possible. That sentence came out backwards, and guess what? Zero fucks given. I know where that platitude comes from. I get it, right? It's basically saying don't look for the get rich quick, the get skinny quick. You do have to put in work to get what you want in life. It's basically saying don't be entitled and think you can sit back and do nothing and have success come to you. Like you have to put skin in the game. So yes, we know that. But to say there's no shortcuts is actually doing people a disservice. There are a lot of shortcuts, but they come with different catches. And I always like telling you what the catch is. Just like there's pros and cons to taking action, not taking action of every single thing in life, everything. And I like telling you what those are, and then you can make the decision on what's best for you. And let's start with my favorite, leveraging your time. This is the shit that should be taught in school early on. And I would love to teach this stuff to people who probably you probably have to be high school or older to really get it, but at least planting that seed. So many of us were brought up in communities, in cultures, in households where we were taught, if you don't do it yourself, it's not going to get done right. Or you might as well do it yourself because then it'll get done right the first time. Or why pay someone else to do something when you can do it yourself? I feel like a lot of people had dads and grandfathers and uncles that said this kind of thing. Or you're married to someone who says that. And that's just a product of their generation, a product of their upbringing. And I'm not saying there aren't things that it's smart to do on your own. But let me give an example. and I'm outing him and he won't care. So Mike is of that generation. Mike's a lot older than me. He was raised very poor. Dad had a government job. Dad was also a perfectionist, and they did everything themselves. And it was like everything. I mean, you name it, from the mowing the lawn, pulling weeds, power washing the house, required mom to cook every meal for the most part, fixing cars. I mean, you name it. Everything, even things that were, not, so to speak, in their talent area or wheelhouse. And so Mike picked that up, right? And he's a perfectionist, which works for him in the profession he's in. For those of you who don't know, just fun fact, he designs the interiors for Tesla. So super creative and super spectrum-y. And I think you kind of have to be that level of a creative where it's that meticulous. Like you have to be fixated on it, right? And he we need to have the other house needs to be power washed, all of it, like the pavement, the grounds, all this stuff. So I said we should hire a power wash dude to come and do this. These services are not that expensive to have done. I would say our house would probably cost $350. Okay. And instead he's like, no, I could buy a power washer for that. And I kind of, in my eye, I rolled my eyes because I know where he's going with it. So he bought the power washer. Has the house been power washed? This power washer was purchased several years ago. No. So here's my point. We tell ourselves these things. Some of it can make sense. Like that is true. You can buy a power washer for the price of someone coming one time. But how expensive is that power washer now that has gone unused? And now the house and the grounds and the hardscaping hasn't been power washed. So now it's going to even require more work to power wash it. And to hire someone would be even more money. And now a power washer is taking up space in the garage. And when you live in a place like Los Angeles, like every square foot is worth a shit ton of money. So what would have been more effective? You have a version of this going on in your house. And if you're married or have domestic partnership, now you have two people who are doing these crazy things if left unattended, unevaluated. So the first thing I would say is I want you to evaluate the tasks that you're doing, not just daily, but like weekly tasks, monthly tasks, and ask yourself the question, is this making the most sense for my time and energy to be doing this task? Or what is the cost evaluation to have someone else do it? This is why I've had my house manager, Jackie, since I was 25 years old, where I was not making what I'm making now. At 25 years old, what was I making? I just switched from one company to another, and I know I was really excited. I feel like my salary was 68,000 a year. Very excited about this. Company card, a lot of benefits, golden handcuff situation. And it made sense. I didn't think of it on my own because I wasn't raised to think that that's a normal thing. To me, that was like a major luxury. Like, you had to be rich to have a housekeeper. I mean, let alone a house manager. It's like, that's wildness. And it's like, what's wrong with you? Are you a lazy ass? You can't clean your house. You don't even have children. And you live in a townhouse. It's not even that big, blah, 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 blah. But I had a friend who was a couple years older than me, and I thought it was wild. And she lived at the base. Those of you who are familiar with LA, you'll love this. She lived at the base of Laurel Canyon. And in Los Angeles, you go over canyons are the shortcut. Ooh, this goes to this episode, and this was unplanned. Okay. So canyons are the shortcut. You wouldn't know this from using like a Waze app or Google Maps. Like, you've got to have someone local tell you this. So if you don't want to avoid our insane freeways, there's certain canyons and they take you through like basically the mountains and they drop you off at different points on the other side. So she lived at the base of Laurel. This is where you want to live when you're in your 20s in Los Angeles. This is the area where all the Vanderpump Rules people are living now, for reference, if you watch reality TV, which good Lord, I hope you do. And we could then at that back in those days, there was no Ubers. We had to take a cab or you had to get like a service, like a car service. And a lot of times we would do that. Number one, we wanted to look very cool showing up at the clubs. Number two, we could all split it. So it wasn't that expensive. But she lived at the base. So then we could just go over the canyon and it dumped us right off in like the hot spot part of town. So anyone who's been binge watching The Hills, and if you haven't, you have to go back and watch The Hills. That was my life, were The Hills. Like that was my life in my 20s. If you want to have a fun reference, all those restaurants, it was perfect. But she definitely was unapologetic about spending a lot of her money on things that in your 20s looked crazy. And she was a little crazy. And it was like, and she was raised in a trailer park. So it was like, this wasn't like someone who was a trust fund kid or anything, which gave her more clout, right? And more credibility when I would observe it. And I asked her, and I was like, I went to her house one day when we do the whole pregame and get ready before the clubs, and then you have to drink ahead of time because it saves money. Anyway, and she had a cleaning person there. And the person was also doing her laundry. And I was like, this is wild. Like, who are you? And I go, why do you do this? You have like plenty of free time where you could go do this. She goes, well, I don't want to spend my time cleaning and doing laundry. I either want to spend it relaxing, I want to spend it having fun, and I would also rather spend it working. And we were in outside sales, selling to make more money in the time that it would take to clean this place. And she lived in an apartment. She didn't even have a townhouse. It wasn't even big. And I went, interesting. And I can't remember how much it was. I feel like it was $100 a week. And she's like, we spend $100 like a week on like one, like for myself, just going to dinner and getting drinks for one night. And I was like, that's true. That makes a lot of sense. It kind of broke through this weird stigma that I had that you can't have that level of help unless you're like balling, And so very soon after, I got referrals from people and I hired Jackie and I never went back. I've literally not made a bed. I don't think I've made a bed since I was 25 years old. And if I have, it's so rare that I don't remember. I do not fold. If I fold for you, any item of clothing, I love you. And I'm not great at it. The only thing I fold is money. That's all I'm available for folding. So I want you to take a look at the things that give you not just time back, but energy back. And that doesn't mean you have to fill that time and energy space with working and hustling. I'm not saying you have to do that. You can fill it with recuperating. You can fill it with creative time. You can fill it with time with your kids. You can fill it with time to heal some money wounds that you have. So anytime I hear someone giving me the line of like, I don't have time. I'm so exhausted. I don't have time. I'm telling you right fucking now, for anything that you really want to do, there's no way you could look me in the eye right now and tell me you wouldn't be motivated to figure out a way to find the time. Like I use this example. I was probably like 20 podcast episodes ago, but it's good enough for me to use it again. If you got a phone call and you knew it was legit from an estate attorney that you had some distant cousin that left you $100,000, but you had to fly across the country, you had to take some 5-hour flight wherever you live in the world, and you had to come in person because you have to sign the documents in person, da 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 da, in order to receive the cashier's check for it. But, and that, you're going to have to stay overnight now. The fastest you could do is probably like a 48-hour situation because then you have to have the meeting with the lawyers and shit. You're telling me you wouldn't be able to find 48 hours of time, even if you have 7 children? I'm going to take a sip of my money juice while that sits in. You'd find the time. We're just insane and we tell ourselves a lot of shit when we're scared. And you can't get time back, and your energy is your most precious commodity. Time is as well, because again, we can't get it back. But on a daily basis, each of us only have so much energy. And there's things we can do to boost our energy, increase our energy, manage our energy, protect our energy. And I want you to do an inventory and look at where you're leaking energy in places, and you need to reclaim it. Listening to someone complain about the same shit and never doing anything, waste of your energy and time. You spending 30, 40 minutes YouTubing the hell out of something, of how to fix something in your house, when in that time you could have called and scheduled an appointment for someone to fix it and not been as aggravated, or, even paid a friend of a friend or something to do it. You think you're saving money, but it's short-sighted. You could be saving money, but losing time and energy. And the time and energy is what's actually more valuable. Now, if it's a joy generating activity, even if other people find it horrible and mind numbing, I love strategizing. It's not just because I make a shit ton of money at it. I get off on it. It's a fun puzzle in my head. I love coming up with names for programs, branding, messaging. Does this mean like I sit here and I like have a sign on the sidewalk and I do it for free all time? No, but I don't need to pay someone something that is both an income generating activity and a joy generating activity for me. So maybe that's important for you to do that list. Create a joy generating and income generating activity list for your business, like for your money side of your life and your personal side of your life. And then all the other things that are time suckers, energy suckers, money suckers, anything that makes you aggravated, anything you super procrastinate on, those need to get outsourced, or those need to get shelved. And you to just own your part in it and say, you know what, this is not a priority for me right now in my life. That doesn't mean it won't ever be, but like, stop. I don't want you having things on your to-do list that just keep getting brought into each new to-do list over and over, and you keep kicking the can down the road. Either leverage it and have someone help you with it, or someone do it. You get off your ass and get over yourself and do it. And enough's enough already, or shelve it. And I don't want to see it on the list, because that's also draining your energy. So next one. What did I write? Oh my God, look at my handwriting. Seriously. This is a miracle that I can read any of my handwriting back, but I kind of can see what it says. So you're in luck. Fuck perfectionism. Fail forward. And there's also a lot of very annoying platitudes about failing. And I get annoyed with platitudes anyway. I'm not saying there isn't some truth to them. They're just so basic that it's like, okay. Is that all you've got? Here's my take on it. So many people, and I would guarantee you are listening because you're a fellow crazy. Perfectionism is really fear in disguise. And we're afraid of being judged, afraid of failing, afraid of looking stupid, afraid of not making money, afraid of it not working, afraid of it not paying off, afraid of wasting our time, afraid of wasting someone else's time. and you get in this perfectionism around writing a book, around launching a podcast, around starting a business, around a piece of content, around doing the thing. And then before you know it, months go by. Today is the last day of, is it today or tomorrow? Oh no, tomorrow is the last day of February. We are already done with 2 months out of this year. How in the hell did this happen so fast? But it's coming up and serving as a reminder for you of how fast time goes. There's only one more month in the first quarter of this year. And I know you don't have your shit together. I know you don't. And I don't want you sitting here shaming yourself, judging yourself, guilting yourself, because that's more of a waste of time and energy. Okay. But we do need to acknowledge it. I need to regroup and get my shit together, and let's do it differently than we did it before. You think, and your mind thinks, that by waiting and being perfect and redoing this and waiting for the perfect time and waiting to get the perfect name and waiting for the perfect way, and I need to, sound just right and all this crap. You've wasted so much time and energy where you could have been making money, where you actually will make more money by putting shit out that's imperfect and messy. Example, and I'm outing myself, and I do welcome any web designers who are very familiar with WordPress. I am welcoming you to DM me on Instagram at ProjectME with Tiffany. Do not DM me if you are not familiar with WordPress and saying, I don't do WordPress, but I do Kajabi. We're not switching. So don't waste my time with that. But I'm outing myself. My website, projectmewithtiffany.com, is my original website from when I started this podcast and this brand. And so that website was finished, like the podcast started mid 2018. There's been some slight zhuzhes to it over time, but it's long overdue for a full glow up. Well aware of it. Not a joy generating activity for me. Not that I don't know how to do websites, but I have to be the one to vet the person. I have to be the one. I am a content and messaging specialist. I'm not saying there aren't people at my level, but the reality is that to have someone at my level working on your copy would cost you north of $300,000 a year. That's what I do for these big multi-billion-dollar businesses in my other company. That level of strategy. So it'd be crazy for me not to do it. Plus, I do enjoy doing it, but when it's your own stuff, you do get in your head. My point in saying this is it's long overdue, but I took it off my to-do list because it obviously wasn't a priority. It now is, okay, because I've got some incredible opportunities and things coming. I'm going to have my first ever physical product available for purchase. Like the shit's going to be on Amazon and TikTok shop and the whole deal. So that all my products to date, except for things that we actually like give away or are like nice bonuses for selling with soul and my mastermind and things like that. Other than that, they're all digital. So if I sat there and went, oh my God, my website's kind of janky, this word doesn't make sense anymore. This page isn't on there. That should be on there. It's not worth my time. It's obviously not affecting me from making a lot of money, right? So I shelved it until it was time. And even so, even one of you who DMs me where we really are a solid fit and you are excited to be tied to my brand and have that as leverage as me on your client roster, which you should be, as I shout out my people all the time, but I digress. I still won't get into perfectionism about it. It's not that important. Yes, I want it to look nice. Yes, I want it to sound good. No, I don't want a bunch of typos. But for the love of God, it's not worth working on a website redesign for months It's just not worth it. It's not that important. Okay. So when I go send out emails, I don't actually make the emails look pretty, but I have someone who I send the actual copy to. Yeah, I know there's typos. I know there's some grammatical errors that don't get caught. Also, not that important. The best lessons that I have learned are either out of things that totally hit, where I was like surprised by, like, okay, that hit off the gate, or that was better than expected. Okay, let's dig in on that. Maybe it's a podcast episode. Like I did a podcast episode on how I had made a million by the time I was 30 and then lost almost all of it. I thought that was going to be a sleeper episode. I, in fact, felt bad about it. I was like, is it kind of boring? You guys were obsessed with it. I was shocked. Amazing. That's excellent information. I put out something that I thought was less than perfect and it hit. And now I have intel. I've had launches and I've put out programs that were flops. I didn't make much money. I made nowhere near back in exchange for the effort and intellectual property I put out there. And I learned certain words that don't resonate as well with people. Oh, okay. So titling it this way didn't really connect emotionally. This is how you get closer to the big wins. But if you're trying to have the certainty and nail it out of the gate, which is what you're trying to do with perfectionism, you're trying to nail it out of the gate to protect yourself from having failure, protect yourself from it not working, protect yourself from losing money. You are losing. Staying in perfectionism is losing. Okay. And I'm not saying there aren't certain exceptions when you are maybe an inventor and you're designing a product from scratch and you want to make sure the quality is superior. Okay. So don't take me so literally on it. But the perfectionism, that is eating your profits. I could guarantee that right now more than anything else in many areas of your life. It's like when I hear people say, and my fitness coaches are going to love this one. When I hear people say, I'll start your workout program, I'll do your app, I'll do your nutrition plan, I'll go to the gym, I'll hire you once I lose some weight. Wait, what? It's like when I get emails with people who will like do this whole lot. I love when you guys email us. Some of them are, I mean, some of them are crazy. And I do read a lot of them where people will explain, and it must have taken them at least 15 minutes to write the email, how much they love me, value me. I'm the best thing they've seen online. They know they want to hire me to help them grow in their business, and they will as soon as they have the money. And we just shake our heads over here. It makes no sense. You hire me to bring in more money to work less and make more. That's the shortcut. I'm the shortcut. My fitness coach, he's the shortcut. He's the shortcut because it gets me to show up. So it's accountability. And that's his area of expertise. He's able to watch me working out. He's able to see things I can't see. He's being paid to customize workouts to get me maximum results as fast as possible and also hold me accountable. But we think so illogically about things. It's like, what are you waiting for? You're waiting to have the money. You're waiting to know what the hell it is you're doing. You're waiting to like have your offer developed. The waiting is eating up your time and profits. You can never get that time and energy back. And in that time, you could have been making a ton of money, or at least been building, an audience of filled with ideal clients while you're working on the thing with me, whether it's in like selling with soul or you're working in with me in my posse membership or whatever. And then you will have a bunch of people to actually sell your shit to. It just is mind blowing. But I also get it because it took me 10 years to start this podcast and business coaching brand. I was filled with all of these, which is why I'm doing this episode, to stop you in your tracks from doing them. And hopefully this is going to save you time. It's not going to take you 10 years. And don't think for a second, you're like, I won't be like Tiffany. I already have a business and I already do this. And, I won't take 10 years. Yeah, I know I've wasted time, but it won't take that long. Really? I already had a business too. I'm an award-winning salesperson. I had money in the bank. I had time, and it still took me 10 years. I had all the excuses that most people just feel like they're justified in, like the kids don't have the money, don't have the time, da 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 da. I had all of it and I still didn't do it. So don't tell yourself that lie either. Use these other things as lies. If you knew that you could get to where you want to go months sooner, years sooner, and have that freedom that you want and have the lifestyle that you want, wouldn't you go get a business loan? Wouldn't you use PayPal credit? Wouldn't you take on like dog walking jobs or do something to bring in money? Sell some shit in your house, sell these designer bags that are now made like shit. I won't go off on my tangent about that. I have a resentment against Louis Vuitton at the moment. Okay, next thing, if I can read it. Oh, good, I can read it. You want to pay people to show you the path versus you trying to figure it out. So I had a hard time with this, and I talked about this in the episode where I said what I would do if I had to start all over today. When I started to make money, I did have money to invest in paying people to help me. And this was in my first 5 years of business before I hired my first, he called himself an executive business coach. 5 years, my stubborn ass, because I was like, well, shit, I'm finally making some money. The last thing I want is to spend that money. I want to like feel like I'm banking some and feel like, I can take a trip with that. And I didn't want to give it away. And I thought because I'm early in my business, I should just be doing it all myself and be super scrappy. Well, that didn't go well. I was frustrated, frazzled, exhausted, burnt out. And what do you think that does? Puts you in scarcity. I was repelling not even warm leads, super hot leads, like heavy trust was built, getting no after no after no after no, over and over and over again. And it's because I was in that, I was gripping and holding on so tight, and I was being a cheap ass. And cheap is scarcity, cheap repels abundance. If someone had taught me and said to me, Tiffany, how about you ask yourself, who can I hire? Who can I pay? Who can I invest in that's going to help me make more money faster? Who can put me on the faster path? When you go to travel anywhere, by car and you put up your Google Maps or Waze, they give you trip options, right? And you look at the trip options and like and some of the options, especially like Los Angeles is a great example because all we do is talk about what freeways we take, what canyons. Well, that's all we talk about are shortcuts. And let me tell you, you need to know the shortcuts to survive here. And anyone who's old as fuck like me remembers the game Frogger. This is Frogger here. And if you're like, what the fuck is Frogger? The only way to explain it is you need to probably YouTube it so you can see the video. It's basically you had to get this frog from one side of a freeway to the other, and like the advanced levels you would get to, the cars would go faster, there would be more things, and you had to try to not basically get run over by a car. It's a very stressful game, and that's what it's like driving in LA. So, and some of these shortcuts aren't even on Waze or on Google still because they're so bizarre. You have to have, a local tell you. Once they tell you, oh my God, I remember when I was living in the Valley and I was taking the famous Ventura Boulevard everywhere. It's the main drag, like, and it's obviously packed. and I was taking it to get to the gym, to the grocery store. And I don't know. I didn't even think to ask anybody, which is crazy if there's a better way. Never crossed my mind because I'm stubborn and overly self sufficient and can be in self will. Well, I used to be. That's not me anymore. And I've reprogrammed myself to ask, not picking someone's brain. This is not what I'm talking about. That's being a cheap ass. I'm talking about asking someone, is there a better way? Asking yourself, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a faster way. Who can I hire? Who can I invest in that is going to help me get somewhere easier with less stress and more fun? Or who can help me get somewhere faster because they've already tried all of these different routes and ways. So that's why it's amazing when you're going to go visit a new city. If you know someone who's lived there, they're going to cut through all the shit and tell you, don't go to this restaurant. It's a tourist trap. It's a waste. Oh, stay off this road. It gets so congested. Da 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 da. That is what I do for people who are wanting to monetize their gifts, passions, talents, and skills online. Inside Selling with Soul, inside 3 Days to Make Bank, inside my ProjectME Posse business coaching membership, and all the various ways to work with me. Or you can take the long way and go and test out all of these routes on your own and waste time in traffic and waste energy getting frustrated and being exhausted and then trying to figure out another way and mapping out another way and then going that way and that doesn't work. And I know you listening, you fucking are in it. You're doing it. And you might even have been in business a long time and you still find yourself doing it maybe because you've been burned before, you've invested before, and it didn't pay off for you. So now you're like, well, fuck, I'll just, I'll protect myself from that potentially happening again. And I'll just do it myself. I'll figure it out myself. No, you are adding on so much time and so much aggravation by doing it. I get it. I understand wanting to protect yourself because it is very disheartening when you feel like you've wasted money or people overpromised and underdelivered or, owning your part in it. You bought into fantasy marketing or you didn't really want to put your own skin in the game and you were hoping hiring someone, they would just come in like a white knight and rescue you. You got to own your part in all these things. And sometimes you just get scammed. Sometimes you just get in a traffic jam. Sometimes you hit a pothole. Sometimes you get in a fender bender. Sometimes someone gets in road rage. Sometimes you cut someone off, even though you hate it when people do that. Sometimes you're the person who does it. And then you are absolutely horrified for the remainder of your drive. And then if you're really lucky, you end up at a stoplight next to the person that you cut off. And then you can feel them looking at you with total disdain and you're the asshole. I know you've had that happen. That happened to me recently. And I do the hand. Okay. So if you're watching on ProjectME TV on YouTube, I do the hand, right? Like I have different hand gestures because I live from living at the beach now. I think I'm like surfer vibes. So I do the peace. I throw up a peace sign, like peace. Like peace is like, thanks for letting me get by. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention to the light. Like, thanks for having, patience, love, and tolerance for me. Thanks for letting me. And so I do the peace. When I mess up, I'm just like, I have the open hand. It's the I know open hand with a nod. I know I'm the asshole. I'm acknowledging I'm the asshole. Please accept my apologies for being the asshole. And then I'll have the universal sign, which is, and I don't even know how to explain it. You'd have to see it on YouTube, but it's like you're sticking out your hand and you have like a piece of candy almost like in your hand, but your fingers are open and you're like, it's basically like, what the fuck are you doing? What was that about? That's fucking bullshit. Then you have that hand gesture going on. It's like, and then there's like different gestures in different countries. So you need to make sure you check that. Because the peace sign is actually like, you want to think that's universal. It's actually not kosher. And the thumbs up, by the way, is not kosher. That actually means fuck you in some countries and cultures. So you would be very careful about using those things. But no matter what, my point is, even if you're working with me privately, I only work with 4 people at a time, and you're working with me at my highest level, you've invested significant money, we're customizing everything, yada, yada, yada. I'm not God. I don't control divine timing. You're going to hit pitfalls. You're going to hit roadblocks. You're going to hit traffic because you were meant to. So when you are hitting up against these things, some of it's because you're in self-will and you're being a cheap ass, right? And you're not making a point of evaluating the return on investment of not just your money, but your time and energy. Okay. But other times, even if you are doing all these things, you were supposed to get slowed down for whatever reason. You were supposed to get humbled. You were supposed to get tested. How badly do you really want this thing? A lot of times it's because it's to strengthen your faith muscle. Easy to be in faith when the cash is flowing, the followers are growing, you're selling houses, people are buying your jewelry, you're getting people messaging you, people emailing you. It feels great. I love it. I love what I've built and it feels great. And yeah, it also doesn't feel good when there's a lull in that or it's not coming. But a lot of times that is not a lot of times, really, all the times that's happening for you to either better appreciate the times when it is there, and also to build your resilience and your tolerance for discomfort. And that is the other thing that I need to make sure I tell you. If you do not develop a tolerance for discomfort, sitting in the in between, sitting in the loneliness, sitting in the isolation of being someone who's going after your dreams, sitting in the, oh my God, I put out these new products, this new offer, this new service. I put myself out there on social media. Finally, I started a podcast. Finally, I put a book out there. No one's buying it. Not that many people are buying it. If you do not develop a sense of being comfortably uncomfortable in the in between, you will end up quitting, or you will end up pushing away so much abundance because you start getting in this needy, codependent desperation mode of external validation. And then you create a self-fulfilling prophecy. See, it's not working. See, I shouldn't have done this. See, I shouldn't have started. See, no one cares what I have to say. See, my market is too saturated. See, no one's buying right now. And so many people can't handle the discomfort, but yet you want the accolades, you want the awards, you want the cash, you want the candy, you want the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. You can't get it without being willing to trust in divine timing and develop a space of faith and surrender in those times of discomfort. And that's normal. Everyone feels that. I feel that. I get it too. I get the reminder. Me no likey, but it's part of it. A couple more things I want to warn you about. So these are shortcuts I want to warn you about. Okay. And I mean, a big warning is in my podcast episode about me saying if I was started all over again. So you can go listen to that episode. There's a big warning there, but I want to give you a couple more warnings before we stop our conversation for today. I wish someone explained this to me. I wonder if I would have even listened though. You know that thing a lot of people are saying is you are the sum of your five closest people. You need to put yourself in better rooms in order to be around better people and make better money, or all the different sayings around that. I don't give a fuck. I don't. But I'm also, I prefer to be a trend setter than a follower. But I have to tell you, you don't need to be with those certain people. I don't want to see you spending money just to be in rooms with people unless you are genuinely going to learn something and implement what you've learned. But to think you're going to be rubbing elbows with the right people and then having an expectation of they'll have me on their podcast, or when I need help, they'll help me out, or I could get them on my podcast. If you're going with that agenda, you're going to be very disappointed. I've had so many people who've told me stories of how much money that they've spent working with people on masterminds, spending time and energy going to events, networking, thinking, that was the way to success. I'm not saying it's not good to have some relationships, but if you are not naturally someone who really enjoys networking all of the time, and I do not enjoy it, this is not my vibe. I'm not into it, like not approved. Like my in-person mastermind events, you will never feel like it's a networking thing. You know why? Because it's not. I don't like it, and it's not necessary. Unless you really feel called to be somewhere and you really want to be somewhere, and it's not out of a space of I need to be there in order to be successful, I need to be there in order to be seen, I need to be there to grow, I need to be there to work. That's what they want you to believe, so you buy their shit. Fortunately, my personality type is so strong in this area. I'd never wasted money on that stuff, but I can't tell you how many people I know personally and clients of mine who are like paying off. I'm talking big money from doing that over and over and over again, thinking that was going to get them somewhere. And it's because they bought into that marketing. And it also sounds like a shortcut, doesn't it? The shortcut is when someone actually teaches you the way and you take the action and you implement it, stacking the odds in your favor. The other warning I want to give you is about ads, any form of ads, traditional advertising, print, TV, radio, newspaper, local publications, or digital ads, meta ads, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, LinkedIn, you name it. A lot of people think, oh, if I just advertise, if I just boost my posts, I'm going to get more followers, I'm going to get sales. They'll even spend a lot of money on these advertising firms saying this, that, and the other. If your organic messaging and branding is not converting into cash, do not put money towards ads. I'm saving you a ton of money by saying it. And I know who's listening right now, you've done it and you're nodding your head going, that's true. I wish someone told me that. Okay. And I had organic messaging. This is the mistake I made. And it was in somewhere in like first 4 months of 2021. I did a podcast episode on it where I understand digital ads. I have a digital marketing firm, and I had already had proof that my organic content and messaging and branding converts. Where I messed up is I forgot that I fucking know my business and my people and my ideal clients better than anyone could. And I hired a so to speak, high level advertising firm because I saw they were working with some big names in my industry. And I thought, you know what? I'm not saying I don't have room to learn, in areas that I'm even an expert in, right? Because let me tell you, you're not an expert if you think you know everything. Okay. Like, if you think you know everything, red flag. I'm concerned. Don't hire someone like that. But I thought, okay, like there's a nuance. Maybe there's something I'm not aware of that works in this space. And their messaging worked on me in their ad. So blah, 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 blah. Spent a shit ton of money and lost a ton of time, energy, and money on it. Not worth it, not approved. And for right now, and you guys may have seen some of the ads for 3 days to make bank online, which is free. So it's not like my ads are converting directly into cash from selling something. Me doing ad campaigns kind of the messy way, even though I know what I'm doing, but being willing to experiment. It's all an experimentation. Ads are a gamble. PR is a gamble. Anyone who tells you it's not is absolutely lying. It's all a gamble. There's no guarantee. Or I could go to every single bank in the world and get a loan and say, my business growth plan is to invest all of this in ads, and they'd be cheering. Okay. And if you said even 50% was ads, you would not get a loan. This is not a plan. You don't see anyone who says this on the Shark Tank, not approved. They're not getting the money. They sound crazy because there's no guarantee in that. But I'm not saying it's not a good thing. But we're spending less per lead than ever. I'm talking $2 and under, which is unheard of now. And who's in the fucking ads? Me on video. That's who's on the ads. It's me and my intellectual property because I know my people better than anyone else. But how did I get there? Back to the failing forward. I was willing to experiment on different ads over time to see what really lands with people. Because even though I have a great idea based on my organic content and what worked and what didn't work, that doesn't mean necessarily that's going to be applicable. That was a big word for me to say in the ad world. You know, when it something says sponsored on it, it does take a little bit of a twist, right, in people's systems energetically and emotionally. And it paid off. But if I was sitting there being a perfectionist about the ads and what do I say in the ads and this and that and the other, it wouldn't have worked. I had to be willing to gamble on something, but holding things so close and not being willing to gamble, whether that's investing in a program of mine, whether that's in investing in hiring a cleaning person, whether that is you investing in hiring an employee or hiring another contract worker, whatever it may be, it's not a guarantee, nor is any relationship, right? But what is a guarantee if you don't is you're going to lose so much time, and your path to getting to the destination and the life that you want is going to keep getting further and further and further away from you. You're going to get more frustrated. You're going to feel more hopeless, more defeated. And at some point during that like multi-year road trip of going in circles and never getting anywhere, you're going to say, you know what? I don't even want to go there anymore because you're going to be so beaten down. And I don't want to see that for you. And you can course correct at any time. And hopefully this episode did that for you. So go see if you can get in to Make Bank, projectmewithtiffany.com/make bank. Know that Selling with Soul opens to the public on Monday. So be on the lookout for that. Make sure you're on my secret posse weekly digest email list. That is where you get to know all the things. You get to be in the know, and you're also getting exclusive content I don't share anywhere else. And there's a reason why my open rate on my emails is over 50% consistently. It's because the shit I put in there is good. It's meant to be digested quickly. It's very helpful. It's high value, whether it's an entertainment quality or it's thought provoking or it helps you shift something or make a tweak that's going to end up making you more money. And that's what it's all about, is serving your people at the highest level, whether it's something for free or something that they buy, and be willing to try things and see what works and keep asking yourself the questions of, who can I help? What can I invest in that's going to save me time, energy, and money? Who can I hire that's going to help me make more money, that's going to help me improve my health, that is going to help me get my confidence back, that's going to help me heal these money wounds? Shift in what questions you're answering yourself, answering for yourself, and what you're focusing on, and your world will absolutely change. It's much closer than you think to having the life that you want. We just need to kind of reboot your system and get you out of your old way of operating. Wishing you great health, wealth, and worth as always. Love you. If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.